Well, most entrepreneurs chase more strategies and tools. Research shows 80% of results come from mastering just 20% of fundamentals. This is Pareto's principle. But what if the path to growth isn't about doing more, but going deeper with what already works? Welcome back to the Mind of George Show. This is the show for entrepreneurs like yourself who know that scaling their business isn't just about strategies and tactics. It's about breaking free from outdated business models, crappy marketing tactics, and the mindset limitations that hold us back. Also, that you can grow and scale with ease and impact while being in alignment by mastering your mindset, having a world-class customer journey, and creating marketing that truly connects with you and your audience. And today, we're diving deep into why mastery comes from the same reps at different depths. And so most entrepreneurs fall into the trap, and we see this all the time. I fall into it as well, that more equals better. If I just do more, I'll have more. I'm more of this. Constantly chasing new strategies while abandoning what works, most of the time accidentally. And today we're diving deep into how to identify your core success drivers, what we call your needle movers, and take them to new depths instead of spreading yourself too thin. So we're going to get real about why complexity kills growth, the power of mastering fundamentals, breaking free from the quote unquote more is better mentality, creating sustainable success habits, and finding peace in predictability. So I don't believe you need more strategies. I believe that you need to go from the shallow end of the pool into the deep end of the pool with what already works. And so if you're ready to break free from complexity and find power in the simplicity, this is the one to dive into. And so I'm really excited. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. If you are always chasing what's next, you'll miss what was working. The truth in experience and in navigating this with hundreds of clients, and I'm going to make a bold claim, most entrepreneurs don't need more. They need to go deeper with what they already have. And so today's episode is the next part in the series of a keynote that I gave to help the highest performing professional poker players in the world. But this episode is for any high achieving entrepreneurs who feel like growth still isn't enough. What that looks like in our life is that we buy the next tool, we try the next funnel, we hire the next agency, we bring on another idea, but yet we still feel stuck or like it's never enough. And this concept is a concept that I've loved teaching, and I've had some incredible clients in the past have it land deeply, and I teach it through a Christmas tree. So if you ever become a client of mine, ask me and I will teach you the Christmas tree analogy, but I'm going to give you the same context today as to why true mastery and success comes from the same reps at different depth. And so the first thing we have to acknowledge is probably one of the biggest lies that we are told and taught is that more equals better. And I also want to go out very publicly and loudly in this moment and say, I am not immune to any of this. Just because I teach it, just because I coach it, I still fall into Solomon's paradox. And they are things that we are constantly in iteration of, constantly in growth around, constantly bringing to our awareness and rectifying. And so the main point of why this happens over and over and over is we are fed the lie that more equals better. And so we as a business owner are surrounded with complexity. You might have emails that you're sending your clients that are working, and then someone's like, but you can do this with this software, and then this software exists, and this person does it this way. And you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Or you could be crushing your business on one social media platform, but then with osmosis and being around it and hearing everybody else and the things you consume, it's like, yeah, but now I have to be on all 8 of them. And when am I going to do it? And how am I going to do it? And so as a society, we're surrounded by the lie that more equals better. But as entrepreneurs, it's even more hyper targeted because we are constantly next to entrepreneurs, seeing what they're doing on their newsletters, on their social media, seeing new tools advance and tech advance. And all they become is distractions that end up overcomplicating the business, and it starts to lie to us and makes it feel like it's progress. But real growth isn't in the new. It's in the depth. It's in the deep. And so every time you abandon the basics, you create a hole in your foundation. And so what's important to remember is that mastery or scale comes from the same reps at deeper depth. Just like in fitness, and we all know exactly what fitness is as an example, but in fitness, you don't need a new workout per se. You could just have better form. Or if you're running and you are like, I want to become a better runner, you don't stop running and then go do something different. You keep the running and you try to adjust it or master it better or increase your workload or increase your capacity. And the same thing is true in scaling a business at every single level of entrepreneurship. This could be that you're trying to make and have your first $100,000 year. This could be you're trying to consistently hit $500,000 years. This could be you trying to break through the ceiling of getting to your first $1 million year. But scaling never requires more steps. It actually requires more intention with fewer steps. And so a couple of examples is everyone's like, oh, I need to have a better onboarding, not more automations. But what do we hear all the time? It's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the capacity. I need to automate this, right? Or they're like, my social media is working, but I need more attention. And so I need to go find more channels instead of having better messaging. Or I have all these things to do. So I'm going to throw my fitness in the trash. I'm going to throw my schedule in the trash. I'm going to throw my personal time in the trash. I'm going to throw every ounce of joy I have in my trash around the hustle culture and be like, I'm going to work more hours instead of having better boundaries. So examples of where we fall into this trap is we get to focus on having better onboarding, not more automations, and having better messaging to connect with the people that are on our platform before we go run after other channels, and to have better boundaries with our day and with our time, not try to think that we can always work more hours and more hours, because that's where we're falling into the lie that more equals better. And I can share probably close to 500 examples of this in me. And I'm not being facetious. If you put me down with a pen and a paper and you said, George, where have you struggled with this? Or even where do you still currently struggle with this? I would literally come up with hundreds of them. But I'll give you a real tangible one of where same reps, different depth is applicable. And I'll do it from the lens of business. So for me, I love coaching. I love consulting. I love helping people ethically scale their business. My happy place is having one-on-one clients that I'm in the mud with, on the field with, helping them and helping their teams. And all too often, this has happened before, where a couple of years ago, I'm like, oh yeah, great. My roster's amazing. I convinced myself they're going to stay forever. In that process, I stopped doing the things that were actually creating them coming in the door. And one of those things is me going and speaking into events, me going on other people's podcasts. It's actually never been me on my own social media or me on this podcast. It's always been me on other people's podcasts or going and teaching in their communities for free, not selling, just serving. And one of my biggest needle movers in my business is to be a servant leader, where I will help anybody, anytime, any way. And I trust God wholeheartedly that if I help them and then they realize I might be able to help them in the future, that they call me. But all too often what's happened is I'm like, oh, we hit 200 grand a month in revenue. Amazing. Everything's great. And then I stopped doing those things. And then by the time I catch it, it was too late. But then when I started to catch it, I'm like, oh my God, I got to be on social more. I need to make reels more. I need to go send more emails. I need to do all these things, except none of those things were the rep that worked in the first place. So I didn't need a better strategy. I didn't need to add more. I needed to return to the actual basics that was creating the result in the first place. And so I've seen this with numerous clients. I had a client about 6 months ago who were like, we had an up month. And then all of a sudden, our pipeline started to dry out. And I was like, well, what's changed in the process? And we started unpacking it. And the two things that we found is that this person used to go live quite frequently and just pour into people. And then the second one is that they were handling the connection calls. They didn't have a team member doing it. They didn't have an application. They were getting on connection calls to see if they were a fit. And what ended up happening when those two things were removed, all the leads dried up and the conversions started to tank. And then the first thing we did is, okay, cool. Those are the reps that work. Our job is not to remove them, it's to get better at them, maybe build process around them, but get rid of other habits, behaviors, actions, or task items that are getting in the way of those. And we added those back in. And then it all started magically working again. And so that's a tangible example of where if we fall into the more trap, more is better, more complexity, what I have recognized is a lot of the times in the people that I coach or even friends of mine where we have these conversations is we accidentally stop doing the things that were working because we fall into the more is better trap. And then once it hurts bad enough, we always find our way back to the basics. And so this is a big, big moment of understanding that success, in my opinion, is simple because it can be scheduled. There are plenty of items and plenty of tasks that I do because I get to do them to have the result on the other side, but I don't love them. And contrary to popular belief, I don't love working out. I just like how my body feels. And in the game of business, I don't like reviewing notes sometimes. Sometimes I don't like sitting down and going step by step and line by line through emails or doing a lot of data analytics, but I also love the result on the other side. And our job is to find those things in our business and in our life that move the needle, because those are the reps that we get to keep. But then once we have an awareness of those reps, our job is to keep flexing that muscle over and over and over again, because that rep will always work. And so I want to give you some reflection questions today to really, really think about. And you can apply this in your business, you can apply this in your life, but these are questions that are really powerful. And I use these questions on myself. Before I give you these questions, I want to close the loop I opened a minute ago about how success is simple because it can be scheduled. I would submit, in my own experience, and not talking to any of you, just talking to myself as an entrepreneur, the biggest reason why I've fallen into I need more complexity, I need to change how we do reels, I need to change the podcast format, I need to change how I deliver things to clients, is not because I actually had a need or a desire. It's because somewhere on the inside, I was bored or burnt out, and I was looking for dopamine because there's certain items that I didn't want to do. And it's not because I didn't enjoy doing them or that I didn't understand the importance of them, but somewhere in my unconscious, there was some avoidance of like, let me make it more complex. Let me change this. And the reason I say success is simple and can be scheduled is because if we were to look at those reps that work and put them down on a piece of paper and said, if I just did these 3 reps every single day for the next 365 days, I guarantee you that we are so close or further along the line of our goal than if I was like, I have these 3, but then I'm going to swap 2, I'm going to add 6 more, I'm going to pull 2 off, then I'm going to change what workout I'm doing. And it wouldn't be this rat race. Same thing with my fitness. It was the easiest for me to lose the 100 pounds last year, a year and a half ago, than it had ever been previously. It's been the hardest to maintain, because I knew when I started to lose the weight this time, it was the last time. I was like, this is the last time. So I had this fire, I had this desire, and then I got it off. And it has been 10 times harder to maintain it because the level of actions that I get to take to be in the shape that I am requires that I do them a whole lot more when I don't feel like it. I do them a whole lot more when I'm tired. I eat very, very clean when I just want to have a double smash burger or a stack of chocolate chip pancakes. And so it's my job to be aware of those things that move the needle. And even in my fitness, it's really simple. If I walk my steps, if I measure my food and hit my protein, and I eat as close to the earth as possible, and if I drink enough water and get my sleep, then I'm going to be great. But sometimes I get bored and I'm like, I don't want to walk, or I have no more books to listen to, or no more podcasts to listen to. I'd rather sit and play with my son, or I'd rather do ABC. But I know with those reps, when they're on paper, they create the results that I'm trying to create. And so my job in my life and in my business, because I am also taking this medicine as I dose it to you right now, is to ask myself these reflective questions and to keep protecting those reps and taking them to deeper and deeper levels. And so the questions are this, and I want you to just give yourself some time to think about these. Question number 1 is, what is one thing that you know that works that you've stopped doing? This could be a marketing strategy. This could be something with clients. This could be something with your habits and behaviors, something with your team meetings. What is one thing that you know that works that you've stopped doing? That's question number one. Question number two is, where are you overcomplicating because you're uncomfortable with simplicity? Where are you overcomplicating because you're uncomfortable with simplicity? Mastery is boring, excellence is repetition, and peace is predictability. I'm going to say that again. Mastery is boring, excellence is repetition, and peace is predictability. And on that second question of where are you overcomplicating because you're uncomfortable with simplicity, I am in this right now. I am in this, not in the business, but in my life. As I navigate co-parenting and all these different parts and pieces, there's all these areas that I've realized where I've lost myself, or I don't know what to do if I take myself out to dinner, or if I just go on a walk and I don't have to do A, B, and C. And I'm realizing all these areas in my personal life where I've had lifestyle creep again, or where things have got complicated. And it's because I was avoiding the simplicity. And so this is something to be aware of. And I think the beautiful benefit of being an entrepreneur, of being a human being, is falling in love with this process of growth and constantly iterating and getting deeper and deeper connections with ourselves every single day. And for me, with God, every single day. But it's not because I complicate it or I add 8 million ideas. It's because I simplify it. And then I come back to that same rep. And then as I do that rep, I get deeper and deeper in myself, in my business, in the things, which just changes the results and changes the game. But I also don't ever want you to think that I am giving advice from being self-righteous or that I somehow have all the answer. And there are plenty of podcasts of me from 10 years ago where I did, and I don't. What I have is my process and the path that I'm walking right in front of you, and God humbles me every day. And this concept of the same reps, different depth has been so simple for me, but taken me over a decade to truly, truly understand. And once you understand it, it really changes the results that we have in our life. And so I wanted to share it with you, because this is really a game of finding the reps that work, protecting those reps, and then getting better and better at executing them. Because none of us are behind in our business. We're not behind in our life. We're just accidentally standing in the shallow end of the pool of something that we haven't gone deep enough with yet. And I have been the king in my life of the 80%. I'll be good enough just to be better than most people, but I'll never stick to it long enough to truly master it. And I can give you sports from skydiving to golf to basketball to mountain biking to everything. And I mean, I have storage units, or had storage units full of reminders of all the things that I always started, but I stayed in the shallow end. And it's not because I wasn't behind. It's because I didn't have this perspective and I didn't learn. And I just stood in the shallow end of something that I didn't go deep enough with yet, that wasn't important enough for me yet. And so the invitation is to find the spots where, by going in the deep end, will give you the results and the life that you want to have. Because in the next episode, we're going to tackle something that sabotages more entrepreneurs than strategy ever will, and it's dysregulation. So if you've ever felt like you're on a roller coaster of the highs or the lows of the lows, or sometimes everywhere in between in one day, the next episode is going to be for you. You can't ignore it. You can't run from it, but you can totally regulate it. And so I'm really excited to share that with you. I hope this landed. I hope in me sharing openly that it resonates with you. And just know, if you're listening to this, that I love you. I'm thinking about you. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you listen to this podcast. And I'm so grateful to have you. So if this landed in any way, shape, or form, just shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook and let me know, or text me if you have my number. But I just want to give you all love. So have a beautiful day. Remember that relationships will always beat algorithms. So God bless. And I will either see you in the next episode, or you will hear me in your earballs. But either way, we're out.